one of the guys from my neck of the woods down in Louisiana. They do I'll let you tell folks. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Jason Guilfoyle. I'm with Motivated Seafood, and our premier product is Band Oysters. And if you're interested in seeing an oyster harvest and what that might be like, you can actually find a YouTube link on the Fruge website. The Food Network program, We'll Work for Food, came out and did a story on us, and they toured our facilities and we brought them out to an oyster boat, and so they got to see what that was really like. It's amazing the amount of labor and work that goes into each little rock that makes its way into your kitchens. But anyway, I'll get started with my program. Now would be a good time to introduce Greg Wazay. He's my colleague. Greg represents the 8th generation of oystermen in the Wazay family. They've been oystering in part of the seafood community since before America was America. That's quite a long time. Let's move on to the next one, please. If you're not familiar with our products, you may be asking what makes a Gold Band oyster. We have specific reefs that we like to harvest our Gold Band from, and then we call them for a specific size and shape, and then we'll take those and we'll run them through our high pressure processing. Our high pressure processing was invented and patented by Mr. Ernie Wazan, who happens to be Greg's grandfather. Mr. Ernie, at one point, was an engineer, and he did work with NASA, and he developed some of the parts of the lunar landing modules that were used on the moon missions. He took that engineering knowledge and his operations know-how, and he brought that to South Louisiana, and he eventually invented this process and has applied it to the oyster industry. What exactly is high pressure processing? Basically, what we'll do is we'll take the oysters and we'll put them into a stainless steel cylinder, and we'll fill that with water. And we'll crank that up to about 40,000 psi. And to give you an idea how much pressure that is, the pressure at the bottom of the Marianas Trench is about 10,000 psi. And what this does for us is two main things. It reduces Vibrio vulnificus down to non-detectable levels, so much so that the FDA actually allows us to use the term added safety in our packaging and marketing. It also denatures the organic glue within the oyster itself so that the muscle releases from the shell. So this means that there's never any shell in our shucked meats. It means that the oysters are so easy to shuck that we don't ever mangle the water sac within the oyster, and that helps ensure a good flavor profile. Basically, it doesn't affect the texture of the oysters because there's no heat in the process, so the texture is completely natural. And what we normally do is,
What temperature do you keep them in?
well, we have a 2-hour window to process the oysters at room temperature, and our entire facility is air conditioned down to about 75 degrees. It only takes us 45 minutes from start to finish. So we're well within that window. Normally our oysters are probably held somewhere about 38 degrees. 75 degrees is the lower temperature.
And then it chill immediately after that.
Yes, they go right back into the cooler to drop the temperature back down to normal. The reason we ban the oysters before we process them is because the oyster does release from the shell. So we ban them tightly with a PVC tape that holds the oyster closed and keeps all of the natural liquor within the oyster shell itself. So let's see. So when you want to open the oyster, you just pop the band, and I've actually grabbed the bill and some of them with my bare hands, but you could actually use a spoon, wedge the spoon into the bill of the oyster, and slide the spoon to the back, because you're really dealing with the mechanical hinge of the oyster shell itself, since there's no muscle tension on the shell any longer. So they're very easy to open. You can open them quickly. There's no particular skilled labor that's involved in that opening process. Now, some restaurants like to display them as a traditional oyster, and they like to pretend with the oyster knives. And if that's what they want to do, that's their prerogative, but they're very easy to open. Let's see. This is just kind of going over some of our products that we have. Our Gold Band Oysters are our top tier product. It's the one we spend the most time on. And again, there are select oysters. We'll go over the waters in just a bit, so could we roll on, please? We also do frozen half-shell oysters. These are the same Gold Band oysters. They're selected for size and shape. We take them and we run them through our IQF, and they go on one side, they come out the other side 180 seconds later, completely flash frozen. And they'll keep for roughly a year. I didn't add earlier that our Gold Band product shelf life is 21 days. The high pressure process also kills any spoilage bacteria that might be present. So whereas a traditional oyster will have a 10-day shelf life, these have a 21-day shelf life. And of course, we offer oyster meat. We have varying sizes. Go to the next one, please. This is one of the newest things that we're working on. Traditional oyster houses don't shuck oysters that are this size as popcorn oysters due to the way that their labor profile is set up for the shuckers. They pay them by the sack. And the shucker would much rather shuck a sack of large oysters as compared to small for obvious reasons. Due to our high pressure processing and the fact that it's doing the shucking for us, we're able to offer this product at a very competitive price. And we've recently been marketing as popcorn oysters. It works great for soups, gumbos, maybe oyster shooters, dressings, and things of that sort. Okay, why Gold Band? It's a good time to talk about Gold Band. We won the American Culinary Institute Best Fresh Raw Oyster in 2002, 2003, and 2004. And after that, we had some local events that took place, and you know what I'm talking about. And we didn't register for the program. It's something that we intend to pursue here in the near future. We also, the National Fisheries Finesse Award for Industry Advancement, Seafood Business People of the Year, Mr. Ernie Wazin, and one who invented our high pressure process. Some of the competitive advantages, obviously there's an award-winning flavor, there's a perfect and consistent presentation, year-round availability, no cutter mangled meat like I discussed earlier. You have a question? All right, okay. What you got? It is. In the past, and just this past week, we did some high pressure lobsters, and it's really a very interesting thing. You pull the lobster meat completely out of the shell, you lay it out next to the shell. It is pretty interesting. You've done crawfish. It could be. It could be. We've done high pressure crawfish. We've done high pressure crab. And in fact, this is something Greg and I were discussing on the ride up. We'd like to give the Fruge family to discuss maybe more than a high pressure line of crawfish if they're interested in it. What that does is it makes it so the tail pulls right out the crawfish. You have the opportunity to have a better texture at the end of the final cooking process, since you're not starting with all the product. So that's something that we'll be discussing. I'm not sure the results. It's a more natural texture, I think. I think you like the texture. I wish I had something to try it out. Maybe next year. Here we go. Go back, please. I don't know how to go back. So basically, there's no attachment to the shell. There's no risk of injury to your employees. The health risk for the consumer are greatly reduced, which reduces your liability, which I know that's an important factor for everyone. And again, the extended shelf life. The time and temperature matrix, the boats that the oysters are harvested from, any oyster that is to be consumed as a raw product has to go into the cooler on that boat within 1 hour of harvest. It has to have a chill rate within 6 hours to get down to the thermal temperatures that you're all used to working with. So the temperatures are monitored at the boats, they're monitored on the refrigerated truck that pick up the oysters at the dock, they're monitored when you receive them, they're monitored in the coolers, so forth and so on. I think you get the picture.
Your job.